Sonic Colors. This game means more to me than probably a majority of Sonic fans. Back when the game was released, it was praised by fans and critics alike, seeing 9s and 80s across the board on GameSpot, IGN, Metacritic. And then we have now, where people are comparing this game to Sonic 06. What?! Sonic Colors is a game that, while many despise nowadays, I respect and enjoy fondly. It is well deserving of those scores that it was given back in 2010. The game was released for the Nintendo Wii along with the Nintendo DS version. Releasing late into the life of the said consoles, Sega had to go out with a bang. And did they? Well, I mean, yeah. The game surprisingly gets right into the action, no cutscene or anything. The first 2 acts just happen without context, and I kind of like that. You don't have to worry about skipping any story if you want to get right into the game. After those acts, we get right into the story. Sonic and Tails are sneaking into Dr. Robotnik's all-new amusement park. Of course, with it being Robotnik, Sonic and Tails feel like the amusement park is kinda stuck! And with these innocent little aliens called Wisps being held in capsules, they're right to be concerned. So they look around the park to try and find Robotnik, and they need to get to the other 5 planets he's using for his plan and destroy the chains connecting them to the source of the park. As we go through the game, it's quite obvious that this game has a different tone.
Baldy nose hair!
With Sega hiring new writers at the time, Ken Pontac and Warren Graff, it was obvious that the stories were going towards a different direction. In this case, they were taken into a lighter tone compared to the previous games like Black Knight or Unleashed. Now, you'd expect these guys' track records to be something like Super Y, Special Agent Oso, and Teen Titans Go, right? No. It's garbage. The story is actual garbage. Now, let me ask you, do you enjoy hilarious body odor jokes and burp humor? That was a rhetorical question, please don't answer that. There's not much to the story after the 3rd boss. Sonic and Tails go to the rest of the planets to destroy the chains, Sonic says a few funnies, and now I need to talk about how much I don't like Roger in this game. Great. Listen, as much as people hate to hear this, I think Roger is garbage in this game in Generations. It was his first go with the character and he got way better over time, but I just don't hear Sonic in these lines. He sounds more like an older version of JFK from Clone High than a Sonic the Hedgehog, even after these 2 games. Except for Sonic Boom, that doesn't count. I see him as the weakest Sonic of the big 5. He's a fantastic voice actor, but he's just not Sonic. However, I need to be very careful with how I say things, because I could easily get canceled on Twitter.com. Again. Yep, that's right. If you say anything negative about Roger now, people will act like you punched Grandma in the face. He's not dead! The other characters in this game aren't that bad though. Kate Higgins' Tails isn't bad here. Although I prefer his later voice actress in Sonic Boom that I refuse to pronounce, as I'll most likely mispronounce it, get comments about it, and have a stroke. Mike Pollock of course plays Robotnik, and despite his shady presence on Twitter, he's still a great Robotnik. The voice actors overall here are not too bad. If you remove Sonic from the picture, everything's pretty great. The game plays fantastically. It's slower than Generations and Unleashed, but that doesn't really make it any worse. In fact, the stages are far less linear than the other Boost games. Does this make Colors the best Boost game? You've got your standard boost, slide, and all that, but now Sonic has a double jump that actually works. That actually works! I love how when you move to another direction when you double jump, you keep your momentum. It's wonderful. I love it. The level design is very different from the other Boost games. Instead of having Boost to Win sections where you hold one button and press another sometimes, you have full-on platforming sections that are both 2D and 3D. And I'm gonna be honest, I don't hate these. Sure, some of them can be kind of bland and some of them are Starlight Carnival X6, but I enjoy playing a majority of these most of the time. A majority of them. Some people say, this game feels blocky and it's too much like Mario. Okay, first off, you're the same people who gave Crash Bandicoot 3 a 9 on Metacritic, so shut up. And second, it being like Mario was sort of intentional. The head of Sonic Team, Takashi Iizuka, has stated in interviews that this game was meant to appeal to Mario fans, bringing them into the franchise. And hey, it worked. I hate Sonic now. People also complain that there's just too much 2D in these stages. I don't care. Just because the game is mostly 2D doesn't make it bad. Of course, I would love these stages to be more 3D, don't get me wrong. But these stages being 2D isn't bad. In fact, some of the later acts in each zones being shorter make it a lot easier to just pick them up and play for a moment. This would be an incredible design choice if it was actually intentional. Late into the game's development, Sonic Team noticed that the game was pretty short. The stages were around the same length as Unleashed stages, but there weren't enough of them to be considered a full package. It just fell too short. They could just add hub worlds and collectibles to extend the game, but Unleashed got flack for that and it could easily kill the game critically. Iizuka said that this was pretty much Sonic's last chance. After 06 and Unleashed flopped, if this failed, it would have been over. But they made a decision that could possibly save the game from being just a little bit too short, splitting the levels in half. The 3 planned acts for each zone were split apart to make a total of 6 acts per zone, which explains why some acts suddenly end and start where the previous ones left off. For more information about this, I'd highly recommend checking out this video by SK Marek about the original game structure. He goes into far more detail than I ever could. The original 3-act structure actually still lives on in the DS version for some reason. Yes, of course, the Wii version was too short, but the DS version was just fine in length. The Burst Wisp made everything work fine over there. Sonic Color's main gimmick is the Wisps. These are small aliens Robotnik holds in capsules to power his amusement park. When Sonic saves one of them, they give him his power. There are 8 different Wisps that you can use in this game. White Boost, Cyan Laser, Orange Rocket, Yellow Drill, Pink Spikes, Green Hover, Purple Frenzy, and the Blue Cube. Why did they relegate the boost to being powered by Wisp instead of rings? Well, I think it's better this way. Don't get me wrong, I was perfectly fine with the boost being tied to the rings, but come on, this is way less overpowered. Now, Forces ruined this by making the Wisp max out your boost, but let's not worry about that! Here, the boost can be maxed out with around 3 White Wisp capsules, making the boost more of a tool that you need to use responsibly, rather than just a hold to win button. The Cyan Laser lets you zoom right to an area. You can bounce off walls, go into this tunnel thing, or use these crystals to zigzag to an area with red rings or a quicker way to complete the stage. The Orange Rocket is exactly what it sounds like. It's a rocket that launches straight up into the air. The Yellow Drill allows you to, well, drill underground and reach areas inaccessible by normal means. The Pink Spike sticks to walls and allows you to spin dash in a 3D game for the first time since Sonic 06. The Green Hover floats in the air and light speed dashes across a trail of rings. The Purple Frenzy can eat literally anything in sight, sometimes opening secret passageways. And the Blue Cube turns blue rings into blue cubes and vice versa. These are well-made power-ups that don't overstay their welcome or slow down your game when you want it the least. The Wisps give the game fantastic replay value, and I would say the best replay value in the entire franchise. Take this for example, the Cube Wisp. You're in Sweet Mountain doing your Ravage platforming when you see these blue cubes. You then question to yourself, what are these for? Can they be activated somehow? Can they give you access to the secret red rings? Well, once you get to Starlight Carnival, you can gain access to the Cube Wisp, and it's revealed what exactly these cubes are for. Once you find out what they do, you can go back to Sweet Mountain and get that red ring blocked by the blue cube with your newly found power. It's things like this that make me love the Wisp more than I have before, and make me want to yell at Sega for thinking that Sonic Forces is a good idea. This game looks incredible. Even with the Wii using, at the time, 11-year-old power at that point, Sega was able to make a game that looked just as good as a 360 game. When you go to the 4th zone, Planet Wisp, for the first time, you just want to imagine running through it in HD without playing the Generations version because no one wants to play that version. The 3rd zone, Starlight Carnival, looks amazing with all the battleships in the background, the statues, and the music. I want to see more of this. The way the camera dynamically moves depending on where Sonic is in the flow of gravity, I love it. I also enjoy the tone and the scenery of these stages. I love this part in Aquarium Park Act 6, where you have this underwater 2D section that's pretty annoying, and once you finish it, you get this nice straightaway where you can just run, relax, and enjoy the view for just a few seconds, and boom, you're right back into the game. This was definitely not intentional, but I love it so much. It just gives you this breath of fresh air for just a few moments, then boom, you're right back into the game. Sega must have loved it too because they took the straightaway portion and made an entire game. But that also comes to music. Music in Sonic is widely agreed upon to be at least good in most cases, and Colors is no exception to this rule. Sonic Forces is though. Each piece gives you the vibe of the zone you're in. Tropical Resort sounds laid back and upbeat. Sweet Mountain is pretty fast and sounds like I'm about to get diabetes just listening to it. Oh my. Planet Wisp's relaxing but upbeat rhythm makes me forget about the polluted pink liquid that could kill me at any moment. Aquarium Park obviously has that aquatic feel that energizes you for the level ahead. Asteroid Coaster's heavy rock instruments give you that final stage feeling. All of these tracks are sublime and fit each stage more than I could imagine. Unlike Sonic Forces, after Sonic and Tails break the chain in Asteroid Coaster, one of the parts of Robotnik's machine begins destroying the park, and the only thing Sonic and Tails can do is run. We get a secret final level, Terminal Velocity. It's a run downhill with only 2 acts, and a fantastic track to boot. After the first act, it's time for the final boss. All of the energy Robotnik was using for his park was to charge his latest creation, the Nega Wisp armor. It uses all the moves that you've learned throughout the game, and you'll need quick thinking to beat him. After a few hits, you start to free Wisps from Robotnik's clutches, eventually gathering all kinds of Wisps together to make one big boost, destroying Robotnik's machine. But the park's still blowing up, so there's no time to waste. We get the second act, and Sonic is running for his life. Well, now he's dead. Ah, dang it. Well, after getting war flashbacks from watching Sonic run down a straight line, I started to think about Sonic Colors as a whole, and yeah, it's the best Boost title. Sonic Colors is the best game in the Boost genre. Yeah, I said it. Unleash had the Werehog, Generations had Classic Sonic, and Forces existed. Colors doesn't have any of that. It's just Sonic. I'm not saying that any of those are bad except for Forces, but not many people constantly go back to the Werehog or Classic Sonic. They just go back to the modern stages to play for a moment, then move on to their day. Colors cuts all of that fat and just does the Boost stages. No more, no less. Also, if you're arguing that the 2D sections are this game's Werehog, I don't know what to tell you, buddy. Go play Sonic Adventure. Sonic Colors, while it may be hated by the fanbase, is loved by me and a majority of the general public. You can tell that Sonic Team genuinely cared and put their heart and soul into this project. They wanted to see Sonic continue to grow, see him thrive, possibly rival Mario once again, and I love it. They didn't look back at their past mistakes. They didn't give up on the franchise after the critical flop of Unleashed, and they weren't gonna let go now just before the 20th anniversary, and I just realized that those are lyrics of the game's main theme. This makes so much more sense now. For every step back Colors takes, it takes 3 leaps forward, oozing with passion and wonder all around. This game means so much to me, and I'll never forget it for that. And that is why I believe that Colors is the best Boost game. Sonic Colors Ultimate, one of the latest in Sega's endeavor to not remaster any Sonic game released between the years 1997 and 2009 onto modern platforms. After the release of the Sonic the Hedgehog movie in 2020, the series started to see a rise in popularity it hadn't seen since the 90s. So, obviously, Sega had to capitalize on it. Kishimoto and Frontiers aren't returning our calls. It's just a cold. In the fall of 2021, Sega teamed up with Blind Squirrel Games to release Sonic Colors Ultimate to coincide with the release of Shang-Chi. This remaster was panned on release for its many issues relating to performance, visuals, and even audio, but how can this be? Sonic Colors is a great game. How could Sega possibly make a bad remaster of an incredible game? What did they do this time? Sonic Colors Ultimate has many issues that weren't present in the original game. For starters, the press start text isn't centered. That's a good sign. The game's visuals have been completely overhauled from the original Wii version, and in my opinion, a good majority of these don't look too hot. The blue makes everything feel far brighter than they should be, especially Sonic, who now has an invisible sun reflecting off of his spikes at all times. It all just has an effortless, reshade filter feel to them. If they just reused the original visuals, we would be fine, but guess who can't have nice things? The music has also seen a facelift. Planet Wisp, for example, rather than having the environmental tracks that were created to immerse you in the stage's overall theme of Dr. Eggman's industrial creations ruining the lives of the inhabitants of this planet, we're given music I'd hear at a fraternity party. While there are a few tracks that I do genuinely enjoy, such as the rock remixes used for the bosses and Terminal Velocity, a majority of them feel like they ruin the original pieces, and I'm not a fan. There are also a few extra features, such as the ability to customize Sonic's design. Yes, finally! A Sonic that the player can change to their liking is something that's been a requested feature for eons. Okay, I guess we can only change the gloves and shoes and have a weird slapdora. Alright then. The gloves aren't fully recolored. Okay, I feel like I'm not the high one here anymore. I mean, there are a few other options in this menu. Let's see what they've got. The menu lags. Let me repeat. The menu, in a game that is said to run on Xbox Series X, the world's fastest and most powerful console, lags. Sonic the Hedgehog, the Chicago of the video game industry. That was a joke. On top of the extra menus, there's also this new mode called Rival Rush.
Here, you can race Metal Sonic in one of the 6 acts in a zone, and it's very bare bones, to put it lightly. Rival Rush, do you accept? Why yes please, I love pop-up ads. It really just feels like a time attack mode with icons on the side that sometimes don't even match your location. I'm halfway through this level and yet it still says I'm at the very beginning. Then there's the new Jade Ghost Wisp. It has the ability to go through specific walls and enemies. However, it feels very slapped in, very slow, and not as well polished as the other Wisps that were in the original game. A lot of these extra features are really nice on paper, but they're dragged down by the horrendous polishing job done on them, and that goes for the whole remaster in general. This isn't even counting all the bugs and oddities I found in this version of the game, such as Sonic not properly warping out of the zone, making it feel like he's just jumping on the world map, certain effects on Wisp not appearing, reducing their impact, the smudgy look of the cutscenes due to the fact that they're AI upscaled, Sonic's pupils not moving along with the rest of his character, resulting in poses looking uncanny compared to their original counterparts, the distracting pop-in, Sonic's animations being slowed down in some areas, resulting in movement like this, and countless others. All of these issues are still in the game after numerous updates and the game being out for nearly 2 years. And if you think this is bad, what do you think will happen if my dad's girlfriend forgets the Wi-Fi password? Sonic Colors Ultimate on the Nintendo Switch is an enigma. Despite the original Sonic Colors releasing on the Nintendo Wii, the Nintendo Switch version is still somehow heavily downgraded. You've got your usual Sonic Switch affairs, such as this frame rate being chopped in half and the resolution being lowered, ridiculously long loading times, despite the fact that the Wii version loaded faster than the Xbox version, and a few other oddities. On top of that, since I wasn't connected to the internet when opening the game for the first time, I didn't get any of the patches that Sega released. Meaning that I don't just get the issues that were in the updated version I mentioned earlier, but I also get even more issues, such as the game slowing down in arbitrary places, textures not being in the right position, music stopping out of nowhere, sound effects only playing in specific ears, enemies falling faster than they should, and a bunch of others. Oh, sorry, this run wasn't really good. Let me start over. Just give it a minute. Still going. Yeah, no, this is pretty bad, but there's no way it could get worse. Why did you leave it like this? The colors are everywhere! My life is agony! Sonic Colors Ultimate is a bad port. That's really all I can say. And it hits hard for me, since this was one of the first Sonic games I ever played, and it grew to be one of my favorites in the series. A remaster of this game on modern platforms was something straight out of a dream for me, but Sonic Colors Ultimate slaps what made the original game so great right in the face and spits on its grave. I just don't understand how this game even costs money. If this is your only way to play this game, which is incredibly likely since this is one of the only ways to play the game on anything but a Wii, I wouldn't recommend it. If you're really desperate to play Sonic Colors, then you really have no other choice in purchasing Ultimate anyway, so pick it up if you really want it that bad. Otherwise, though, try picking up the original version of the game if you have a Wii or Wii U lying around. It works with all the controller types on the system, and it isn't expensive online. Or you could just emulate it. Sonic Colors Ultimate was the first instance of Sega using the Digital Deluxe format with a Sonic game. At this point, Sega was already familiar with this format through games like Sakura Wars, where it mainly just came with extra costumes and a PS4 theme. Now, things like that for Sonic Colors Ultimate would be pretty cool. Maybe some obscure Sonic outfit references and a theme for the PS4, or maybe something original like a little extra Sonic song you can play to swap out in the stages. No. Colors Ultimate's Digital Deluxe Edition comes with early access, exclusive music, gold and silver wearables, exclusive player icons, and Sonic Movie Boost. I don't even know what half of those mean. So, owners of the Digital Deluxe Edition would gain access to the game a whole 5 days earlier than everyone else on September 3rd, 2001. 2001? Oh my god. So, owners of the Digital Deluxe Edition would gain access to the game a whole 5 days earlier than everyone else on September 3rd, 2021, compared to September 7th, 2021. So the game was released on September 3rd. Literally, if you were hyped for Sonic Colors Ultimate, why on earth would you buy the base game? They didn't delist the Digital Deluxe Edition going, oh man, you gotta pre-order the game to get early access. No, they kept it up for purchase after the September 3rd date. Colors Ultimate released on September 3rd, which makes it really funny thinking about how the game got a $5 price drop after 5 days of release, and the game was released on the same day as Shang-Chi. The exclusive music of the collection is referring to the Planet Wisp remixes that they chose to lock behind paid downloadable content. Yeah, for some reason, if you didn't purchase the extra non-essential version of the game, you would not gain access to the remixes of Planet Wisp when every other stage has the remix songs already baked into the base game. It's even funnier because if you didn't update your game on Switch before playing, you'd still be able to use the remixes of the songs because Sega forgot to disable them. You'd also get a free seizure. Why on earth would you lock a main feature of the game behind a paywall? And on top of that, why did you choose the zone where a third of the remixes are terrible? If anything, not buying the digital deluxe edition is better because some of the remixes ruin the vibe of the original stage. Gold and silver wearables refers to the extra metal gloves Sonic can wear. These are disgusting. Exclusive player icons. With this, you gain access to extra profile icons from the Sonic movie. It's really funny this is locked behind a paywall because since they cut the online leaderboards from the Wii version and the planned online multiplayer from this version, the only place you can see your icons is the offline-only single-player race with Metal Sonic. No, man, now nobody will know I was a sucker buying Sonic Parks and Rec JPEGs. I mean, if you want to fantasize having a coughing baby go up against an agile killing machine, be my guest. And finally, the Sonic Movie Boost. This refers to the aura and boost effect you can equip that gives Sonic the electric powers from the Sonic movie version of the character. This is actually a really cool addition, not gonna lie, and it's a really nice extra for the Sonic nerds out there who are likely gonna buy this version of the game. Too bad it was buried on top of this other junk. Sonic Colors Ultimate's Digital Deluxe Edition was a fine start. It had a lot of really nice features that people could get a kick out of and a whole 5 days of early access. Again, you could buy this version of the game whenever you wanted. The game released on this day. Is it worth picking up today, though? I mean, you were already picking up Sonic Colors Ultimate, so be my guest, I guess.
As some of you may know, Sonic Colors is one of my favorite Sonic games of all time. Heck, probably one of my favorite games of all time, period. Yeah, I know that games like Sonic Unleashed, Generations, and Not You are technically higher quality, have better stories, are larger in scope, but something about Colors resonates with me. It somewhat helped me become the person that I am today. No, it's not what made me unfunny, but it might have part in that. So when it was originally leaked that Sonic Colors was getting a remaster for modern consoles, to say I was excited would be an understatement. However, as the game was revealed, more info was released, and with it, my excitement dwindled. Effects were missing, the game looked worse than the original in most places, they added tails saving you from falling off a platform. In a platformer, this Metal Sonic race thing looked like a glorified time attack with Metal Sonic with shading from forces slapped on. Multiple graphical bugs, it wasn't looking good whatsoever. Now, I originally scrapped my Colors Ultimate video. I lost interest in wanting to write a script fully analyzing the game, and a lot of people already gave out their thoughts, and their thoughts nearly matched mine, so I felt like there was no point putting my hat in the ring. But one day, I was thinking to myself randomly, I was thinking about old videos I used to watch as a naive, dumb, idiot child. The SGB reviews, Sonic Toast's old stop motion videos, the Sonic shorts, people watching Sonic shorts, and even the official cartoons. But one video stuck out to me. One video that has been in the back of my mind for years. Top 7 actual good things in Sonic 06. This madman, this maniac who made this video was able to find 7 things in this garbage game that are actually good. So I thought, I can do that. I can find 7 good things in a game I don't like. I'll get myself to talk positive about Sonic Colors Ultimate. And so, here we are. I'm counting down 7 actual good things in Sonic Colors Ultimate. Also, I just want to jam into your skull. I'll only be talking about 7 good things in the remaster. So number 4 won't be the laser wisp is pretty cool, because that was in the original game. It wasn't added to the remaster. So, with the introduction out of the way, let's count down 7 actual good things in Sonic Colors Ultimate.
Number 7, some of the remixes.
Sonic games, no matter how the quality of the game itself is, almost always seem to have a great soundtrack. But Colors Ultimate is kind of an exception. I don't like a majority of the remixes in this game, but when the good remixes play, oh boy, they play alright. The good remixes in this game are wild. The original tracks were already really good, but honestly, the good tracks are probably better than the original. Some of these tracks include Terminal Velocity, Planet Wisp Pack 2 was pretty mediocre on first listen, but quickly grew on me. And the Asteroid Coaster remixes are pretty good too. Good remixes are a rarity in this remaster, but when you find them, you truly felt like you've struck gold. Sonic Colors Ultimate's main selling point is the redesigned visuals. It was one of the first things we saw from the remaster after all. They, for the most part, are inferior to the original. I know that's not an incredibly unpopular opinion in the community, but most of the stages in this game just don't look that great. Tropical Resort looks too dark, while the neon signs are far too bright, and you can't even make out what they're saying. Starlight Carnival is also far too bright, making me not able to see the patterns on the space road. However, the one zone I would say is superior to the original in most factors is
Number 6. Aquarium Park's visuals.
Aquarium Park looks fabulous in Sonic Colors Ultimate. It's one of the few stages in this game I can say doesn't overdo the remastering of the visuals. It's accurate to the original game while still looking beautiful and not making me want to rip my eyes out since I was already blinded by Starlight Carnival. The moment you begin the stage, you're blown away by the area in front of... Ignore that. You're blown away by the area in front of you. Can I go there? Can I go there? Oh, maybe there? No, it all looks stunning in HD. All the textures look crisp, the enemies look amazing with these backgrounds, and running from the giant enemy crab has never looked so good. Now if only Tropical Resort could take some notes.
Number 5. The customizable controls.
Customizable controls have been a requested feature in Sonic games for a good while. I mean, I would personally love to have the forward input on the power button on my Switch when playing Sonic Forces, and I think that's why Sega hasn't implemented the feature until now. Colors Ultimate allows you to change the main 4 abilities, jumping, boosting, wisp usage, and sliding, around each of the face buttons and the triggers, which means, yes, you can jump on the left trigger like a moron. Customizable controls are not only great for being a moron, but for accessibility as well. Some may not be comfortable with the boost button being on circle. Why was that the default? If Sega is to take anything from Sonic Colors Ultimate, it's definitely this.
Number 4. The perfect homing attack.
Colors Ultimate adds a new move to Sonic's arsenal, the perfect homing attack. The perfect homing attack is, as the name suggests, a homing attack that you have to nail precisely to activate. When you're about to hit an enemy, the normal homing attack reticle will appear, but just for a few frames, a green outline will appear next to it. If you attack while the outline is on screen, you'll hear a sound that, thanks to the audio mixing, made me go deaf. Blind Squirrel Games. They best rename that to Deaf Squirrel Games. Sonic will have a rainbow trail instead of a blue one, and you'll gain extra boost from the attack. Now, if you watch my original Colors review, you'll know that I think the way that the boost is handled in Colors is superior to how it's handled in Unleashed in Generations, because it gives you boost for when you need it, and you need to strategize when using it, as in certain places, you won't gain speed from boosting. But with the perfect homing attack, they give you more boost than before in places that you weren't supposed to be given boost. So do I think that this is well executed and doesn't change the gameplay much? Or do I think that they basically turned the game into Generations again with the immediate access to the boost? Dude, it's on the list. If you were actually expecting me to not like this, I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, I think it's well put together. The amount of boost that you're given is the perfect amount, where it's not a huge bunch to where I'm thinking, wow, they just ruined the boost and turned the game into Generations, nor is it too little to where I'm thinking, wow, they added a mechanic that literally does nothing to the game and doesn't add anything. If anything, the perfect homing attack is useful for when you're in an area in Rival Rush with no boost and Metal Sonic is about to pass you. Oh yeah, spoilers, Rival Rush is up next.
Number 3. Rival Rush's challenge.
Okay, well, when I say Rival Rush, I don't mean the mode itself. That has a ton of problems already. Metal Sonic improperly moves around the stage like in Minecraft's creative mode. The UI is absolute garbage, and this icon didn't move in the Tropical Resort Rival Rush for some reason. But if there's one thing that I'll give Rival Rush, it's kind of challenging. Now, if you're an outsider looking in, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, of course it's gotta be hard. It's a race. But what you forget is, this is Sonic. Time after time after time, Sonic games have been easier than me chugging a water bottle in 5 seconds. There's been practically no challenge in these games whatsoever. So to see something difficult, even for a veteran player such as myself, it's kind of breathtaking in a way. Metal Sonic doesn't use any of the Wisps abilities, which gives you an advantage immediately since you can use them. However, he uses every possible shortcut you can take in these stages, which adds to the difficulty. If you're a casual player taking the neutral routes, or simply bad at video games, you're gonna have a rough time with Medu over here. Overall, I'm surprised by the challenge that Metal Sonic gives you. It's not impossible, but it's not something to scoff at either.
Number 2. Rise of the Wisps.
I'm putting Rise of the Wisps on the list and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, it's already hard enough to come up with 7 things. I have to take a shortcut somewhere. To promote Sonic Colors Ultimate, Sega released 2 short cartoons on YouTube titled Sonic Colors Rise of the Wisps. Now, I'm not going to summarize the plot because I don't want to. Plus, you should give these a shot for yourself. They're not half bad. I'm simply talking about my thoughts on the shorts overall. I love the art style here. They remind me a lot of the current Sonic channel art, which, if you couldn't tell, are really good. The action here is well done. When Sonic and Metal are racing in Sweet Mountain, it feels genuine, and honestly, despite this being a color short, it got a couple chuckles out of me. Nothing can save Roger's Sonic voice though. He's a good voice actor, but he isn't Sonic. Thank you for listening to my bad opinion. On the topic of Sonic, when the first part of the shorts were released, a lot of people were complaining about the portrayal of Sonic online, stating it was too jokish or too annoying, comparing it to Sonic and the Black Knight scene where Sonic finds out a young girl's family and friends were stolen by a dragon and immediately goes after them. Alright, first off, in the same game, Sonic compares a kingdom plunging into chaos with multiple casualties to a haunted house. Second off, this is a Sonic color short, man. They have to be consistent. If a casual player saw Sonic acting all emotional, telling the Jay Ghost Wisp that we'll all die someday in a spin-off short to a game where he says baldy nose hair, they're gonna be confused. Alright, let's not get too sidetracked. The shorts, they're really good. Not really fantastic or anything, but I really like them. They're charming, somewhat funny, and well animated. Now, what happens when they make a Sonic Lost World short and Tails' personality makes me want to throw my body out the window?
Number 1. Sonic's customizability.
Outside of the customizable controls, Sonic Colors Ultimate also includes the customizability of Sonic himself. You can customize Sonic's shoes, gloves, but not the cuffs for some reason, his aura, and his boost color. By purchasing the digital deluxe version of the game, you can receive more options for Sonic. These are the golden gloves and shoes, the silver gloves and shoes, and the aura and boost based on the Sonic the Hedgehog movie from last year. I love the movie aura so much that I used it for most of my playthrough, although the high levels of bloom do get in the way of the glow effect the movie aura gives off. Customization in any game is always a treat, and to see Sonic finally get this treatment is awesome. I really hope that this sticks around for future games. Still don't know why the cuffs of Sonic's gloves can't be customized though. What was that all about? And that's that. I talked about 7 positive things in Sonic Colors Ultimate. Honestly, with or without the bugs, mediocre visuals, tail save, constant crashes, and bad UI, it's still a fantastic game at its core. And even so, there's still a lot of positives. The customization, some of the remixes, the added abilities, the accessibility of the remaster, it's not all bad. There's still some fun to be had. It may not be the best remaster, but remaster or not, Sonic Colors will still be one of my favorite games of all time. But if there's one thing that Colors Ultimate does that is undoubtedly unforgivable, they didn't replace the credit song with Shine by Victor McKnight. Wait, something's off here. The reflection is still out of sync. Unplayable! Sonic Colors is not only one of the first proper video games I ever played, but it's one of my favorite games of all time. All of you cringe, hardcore gamers who actually take PlayStation vs. Xbox seriously, have your God of Wars, your Tears of the Kingdoms, your Halo 3s, you give me these 4 games, and I'll be a happy camper for the rest of my days. So, obviously, when Sonic Colors Ultimate was announced, I was pretty excited to finally play one of my favorite games on current hardware. I no longer play Sonic Colors on current hardware. I've discussed it on multiple occasions. You can backtrack to see my thoughts on it as a whole later, but in short, while there are a few pretty cool quality of life improvements, the visuals are too bright and shiny, there are animation errors everywhere, glitches are abundant, and I had a seizure. As with any other Sonic game, modders came in to patch up a few of the issues, but nothing was ever really fixed. A lot of the lighting mods were better, but felt kind of flat. The animation fixes were great, but had a few issues that slipped through the cracks, and the Rival Rush icon still doesn't move if I take the Tropical Resort shortcut. Because of that, even with mods, many Sonic fans who never owned a Wii are left in the dark on having a decent legal way to play one of the best modern Sonic games. However, that's all about to change. This is Project Re-Rainbow. It's a project created by Blue Wolf Blitz that sets out to visualize what Sonic Colors would have probably looked like if it was released on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 rather than the Wii. But Blue Wolf and friends accidentally added an extra ingredient to the concoction. It was a mod for Sonic Colors Ultimate. Thus, the definitive Sonic Colors experience was born. Thanks to Blue Wolf and their amazing generosity, I've been given the opportunity to play an early playtester's version of Project Re-Rainbow, and it has quickly become my preferred way of playing Sonic Colors. It takes nearly every visual issue Colors Ultimate had and completely erases it, producing a wonderful imagery that, to a certain extent, surpasses the original Wii experience. But what exactly makes it so definitive? Well, let's find out. Okay, well, spoilers, it's not that. Like I mentioned before, Project Re-Rainbow doesn't aim to make a better looking Sonic Colors Ultimate. It more so aims to make a higher fidelity version of the Wii version's visuals, picturing what the game would look like if it was released on other major platforms at the time.
so it's essentially a better looking Colors Ultimate. To accomplish this, the mod replicates the visuals of other Hedgehog Engine games such as Sonic Unleashed and Generations. Comparing Re-Rainbow's graphics to Colors Ultimate, you can immediately tell that the bloom has been heavily lowered while not having everything look flat. It genuinely looks comparable to the more modern games. Are we still considering Sonic Generations a modern game? However, in order to keep these aesthetics, the game has to use resources to compile and capture the reflections, which adds a lot of stutter when booting up the game. But by the time you complete the first level, the rest of the game should run like butter with very little hiccups. Some of my favorite areas remastered in the mod include the obvious Aquarium Park, which I already thought looked pretty decent in the original Colors Ultimate. Now it's gone further beyond and looks absolutely spectacular. Of course, Starlight Carnival Space Road has been blessed with the lack of eye-bleeding bloom, but it seems to have made its way into the internal section because... oh great, my eyes are bleeding again. Most of all, Terminal Velocity brings back the blue hue that it had in the original game, and has this really cool purple shading in Act 2 when the black hole's approaching Sonic. Every other stage also looks absolutely fantastic and sticks very close to their original Wii counterparts, creating this unbelievable showcase that, if it were official, I could easily call this one of the best looking Sonic games. Along with the stage's visuals, a few other things were changed. Sonic's eyes actually moved during his startup animation, the white wisps in the capsules are now 3D models rather than flat images, which was very noticeable in Ultimate. Sonic's animations on the world map now function properly, Tails is affected by the lighting now, there are more wisps in the end capsule, the Jade Wisp has been added to the title screen, and... nope, the Rival Rush icon is still stuck. Although, this mod fixes visual and audible issues, and only visual and audible issues, so any gameplay related issues present in the original Colors Ultimate are still here. This was released for $40. Of course, this is an early, unreleased build, so changes are bound to be made. The Jade Wisp will have its own animations on the title screen, the spring sound will be removed in places where it doesn't belong, cutscene revamps are being heavily considered, and, hopefully, the Rival Rush icon will be able to move. We can only dream. I'd personally love to see a few other changes be made, such as proper fading transitions being added back into the options menu, and the original Drill Underwater theme being placed back in instead of the Lost World version that was in Colors Ultimate. Even without those though, this entire package is already enough. Project Re-Rainbow, despite not even being finished, is already my preferred way to play Sonic Colors. Taking the original Wii visuals, polishing them up, and using them in the remastered version of the game with all of its quality of life improvements makes this as accessible as a fan-made enhancement of Sonic Colors can be. On top of that, when you add a few game-changing mods in addition to Re-Rainbow that adds back the original life system and fixes other gameplay and UI-related issues, you easily have the best legal way to play Sonic Colors. If you haven't already, go check out Blue Wolf and the other developers of this mod to keep up to date with the latest improvements, and be among some of the first to play the mod when it's complete and ready to launch. Show them that their modding skills were put to a project that is absolutely worth celebrating. And hopefully Sega can get a team that can do as competent of a job as these guys. Oh, also, just FYI, buy Colors Ultimate on a sale instead of picking it up at full price. You could buy dinner with that money, man.